Okay, so review of Tehilim 1, according to Meiri. Okay, so we did most of his commentary in the first pasuk. He did two interpretations, one of which treated Latium, Chataim, and Rishayim as synonymous. That was Chazal. But it did say that. Oh, wait, did you want the English I had?
Oh, sure.
I mean, you can take that also, but
I just want to have it.
yeah. But what do you call it? It was so the question Chazal asked is, if you don't walk, then how are you going to stand? If you don't stand, how are you going to sit? So the answer was, if you walk, ultimately you'll stand, and if you stand, ultimately you'll sit. And the idea that we said, so the question was why, and the idea that we said was, you'll hang out with them in the justification that that's not me, I'm not that kind of person. Then that's going to cause you to identify with them, which will make you start to doing their actions. But then you'll just draw a line and say, well, I might be doing this, but I'm not that kind of person. And then you'll keep on going and going, and then it'll before you know it, you're like them. Okay, and then the Meiri gave his interpretation, which is that there is a difference between Rishayim, Chataim, and Leitzim. First of all, the pasuk is not telling you to not be a Rasha, a Chote, or a Leitz in the literal sense, because he says the pasuk doesn't need to praise someone for not being a Kofer or a Min or something like that. So that's what prompted him to learn these in different ways. And I don't think I articulated that well last time. That question is what prompted him to give these weird interpretations. So Rasha is someone who is chasing after money, which he then later expanded into is also includes success and dominance and authority. Chote is someone who is involved in the world of taiva and pleasure, that's mutter. And then leitzim are people who are involved in like time wasting, mocking, and talking about nonsense. Apparently not lashon hara though, not like that kind of leitz, because that would fall into his problem of you don't need to praise someone for not sinning. So it's praising people who are not involved even in those things, but instead they devote all of their energy to Torah, which he didn't explain yet.
Can you say the things one more time?
Say the three things. Rasha is money and success and power. Chote is pleasures and indulgences and hana. And then Leitz is things that are a waste of time and just being unproductive in, like, as Ryan Moss would say, playing tiddlywinks. Yeah, that's his thing. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Is that the motion for playing tiddlywinks?
Have you not played tiddlywinks?
What is that?
Oh, it's a game that they used to play in the olden days. I think it involves flicking, like imagine guitar picks. I think that's what tiddlywink looks like, and like you flick it into like, I don't know if it's a receptacle or something, but that's why Moskowitz is a synonym for like wasting time, just playing tiddlywinks. Yeah. Okay, so we were on page Nun Bays. And it was in the Meiri. Nope, we were past that. Oh, I didn't ask what burgeons means.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay, we're on Nun Gimel, and I think we were at the paragraph break. Oh, one other point is he said that these three represent the three ways that people get caught up in the olam, in the dark olam, and it says either 1, 2, or 3. It's not like you're either a money guy or a taiva guy. You could be both. Or all three. Okay, so we're at the V'achar nire, the bottom of the right column. The V'achar nire shaloshin halicha lo ne'emar al halicha haregel. So after this, it's apparent that the lashon of walking does not refer to foot walking, which according to Chazal it did. Yeah. Right, like various ways of associating with them, of like hidabik, but of histapus or whatever the word he used.
Chazal said sitting was the most severe.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. So walking is not walking of the foot, on foot. Yeah. So it's on clinging to their ways and behavior completely. Oh. So is it for good or for bad? Since the word Rishayim here is said about merchants and those who toil in making profit, himshich bo milas etza. That's why it used the left etza, which we talked about this morning. Etza, right? Kilo davar reku. It's not an empty thing. Aval naase b'hanhaga uva mitun uva etza nachona. Oh, that's like just our pasuk this morning, right? Mitun and deliberation. Yeah, right. Have you masunin b'din?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
right.
So in other words, he's saying, why does it say Eitzah? Because that's how the money people make their money, through Eitzah, through like practical strategies. Umatzanu halicha.
He's saying it's not like it's not like there's no truth to it.
It's not like what?
There's no truth to it. Is that he's saying it's not a break?
I think he means it's not like like a empty, like, it's not like you just like go, hey, let's just make money, and then you just like pull the jackpot lever and get money. I think he means like you actually, actually has like substance and chochmah in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's saying, no, and so he's saying practically is, how are you going to get drawn up into the world of money making? Through these people drawing you into their schemes, and their, not schemes is the wrong word because it's not necessarily evil, but it's like through their money making plans, Yeah. Okay. So by the way, I don't think these are important points, but I want to read it for the sake of thoroughness. It's praising the guy who did not cling to their ways completely to the point where he's like them. This is very poetic language here. He strives in the catch for himself and for his household until his time passes in an honorable manner. I don't know if that means until he dies. I think it means until he dies, right? Meaning until the end of his life. Ad po yavo v'lo yosef, until he goes and no more. L'va'avur yitin l'nafsho fuka, to give his soul its proper amount. V'lo yashlichena achrei gavon, so he doesn't throw behind his back. V'lo yitnenu shifcha necharepes lahamayas rov mamon v'osher u'nechasim. He doesn't give it. He doesn't make his soul into a degraded maidservant in service of the lusting after money and wealth and property. So, interesting thing. So why is he talking about this guy? This guy who's like looking for the proper amount for his family and like not going beyond what he needs.
He's not saying that you shouldn't pursue money.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to ask because the little up is they're kind of the
Gami, right. Okay, that's good deal. Right. So what he's doing, the way I'm perceiving it, is he's making this into a Mishlei pasuk. He's giving you two sides. So like if you're not following after them, so then what are you doing? What's the opposite? So he's saying the opposite is not giving up money and completely. The opposite is making enough money to satisfy your practical needs and not your monetary like success fantasies, and then being involved in Torah Hashem, for the rest of that. Yeah. So it's adding clarity by Mishlei-ifying it. Yeah. I think I noticed yesterday. I think when I type in the letter M on my phone, the 3 autofill options that come are Mishlei, Mishleic, and Mishleicly. Yeah. What was that?
There's no there anymore.
No. That's all you need. Okay, so then V'amar Achar Kain U'derech Hatayim Lo Amad. B'hanhagas hanimshachim achar yitzram v'rotim achar taivos v'hatanugim. So that means, this is a little harder, because I feel like standing is not the verb I would associate with going after taivas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would also use halitha, just not eitzah, I guess.
Yeah.
Sitting maybe, but yeah. Let's go stand ourselves a good party. Like, I don't know, like what's this? Let's see. I'm curious how he I forgot how he translates this or explained it. So that's about the people who are drawn after their yetzer and chase after taiva and enjoyments. Lo amad, lo nis akev. They don't. Oh, okay. So they don't delay or hold back. Milashon leman yamdu yamim rabim, from the lashon of lasting for many days. So they don't last in taiva, meaning like have a lasting connection to it. Let's just read the full explanation. So he's praising this in the fact that they don't like tarry or whatever in that behavior, to the point where they are drawn after it in a pleasure-seeking excess way. They take from it what is necessary alone. So that's in terms of. So it's interesting because it's not even talking about like eating the bare minimum food. I think he is talking about hana'ah, right? You do need a certain amount of hana'ah in life, and so they take that amount and then that's it. Yeah. So that's the opposite of that. So it's not okay, this is a different picture than we saw from what it sounded like when you introduced the idea of being porish midarchei ha'olam. Yeah. This does not mean being porish l'gamrei, which we're going to see who knows when in Rambam Perek Gimel in Deos. Yeah.
This is the middle path.
This is the middle path. Yes. Very good. Very good. The Amar Acharkin, you know why it doesn't mention angry people? Because their life is not a life. V'amar Acharkin shebemoshav leitzim v'hu she'ein sorach la'adam. What?
I've never, I don't think we made that.
Oh, did we?
No, not that one.
Oh.
The one.
Oh, okay. I guess Joe planted Mark Twain in my head because I didn't see this inside, but Johnny told me a thing with Mark Twain. You know what I'm gonna say?
Planted, that was it. Say.
Oh, Johnny told me this thing about Mark Twain that Mark Twain had a theory about humor because obviously he was a humorist, you know. So he was at a party and he told a joke. He made a funny comment, you know, and like people laughed, you know. Then he like made the joke again, like very soon after, and like people like kind of like haha like laughed. And he made the joke a third time, and people were like, "What's going on?" And he made the joke a fourth time, and then like there was like weird reactions, like angry, like. And then he made it a fifth time, and then he made it, and then people just started laughing like crazy. There was this like phenomenon of, and I don't know if it was like pushing through the psychological barrier, or not barrier, but like it's tickling your psyche in some way.
Right.
And like you satisfy it on one level, and then there must be some like meta way to connect to that same thing again, but in a different level. I'm just mentioning that because I feel like it does work sometimes to make the same joke over and over and over again, where it like gets very, very funny.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, there's definitely a phenomenon of like referencing a joke.
Yes, that's definitely true. Yeah. And running jokes in like TV shows and stuff is definitely a thing. Yeah. I think though that referencing jokes and running jokes are often the kiyum in that is not so much the humor, it's the camaraderie, like the connection with the other person, you know?
Right.
Yeah. But there might be something else there also.
I feel like I remember the wrong gestures for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like all the shiur jokes.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Comic sections. That was an oldie. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll have to put it on down. Yeah, it also makes people feel excluded. Yeah. Okay. No, but that's a raya though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the connectivity
That's
that
all
makes, yeah, right. Yeah. All right. The Amar Achar Kane Shibamoshav Leitzim, which they use this technique, right? To draw people in. V'hu she'ein tzorech la'adam hanhagasam.
You say like comic sections all the time.
Yeah, that one wasn't funny. Just a couple more times. There's no need for a person for their conduct. Lo yashav klal. Oh, so that he is saying you have to completely abstain. Okay, from the lacing. Klomar, yeah.
So would you say with the optical time you do in a like directed for a proper thing?
Yeah.
Like optical time you do but directed for a proper thing.
Right.
So you only fully involved yourself in it.
Yeah.
And then with the time you do like a middle path, and the late time you do okay.
Yeah. I'm just thinking all the comic section memes that we made in reference to that joke for years. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, you say what you said again. I was thinking about other faiths. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the spectrum from around here.
Okay.
So you have the opposite ends of the your involvement in the thing.
Right.
So for each of these, for Rishayim, Chotayim, and Leitzim, for each of them, they're all the bad person in the assignment is on one extreme.
Right.
But it's for Rishayim, you're close, but not on the extreme. But not exactly close, but you're close. Like you're doing similar things,
Right.
but you're directing it towards
Right. Yeah.
Then for the sometimes you're doing it in like the middle pathway.
Yeah.
And then for the late thing, you're doing opposite.
Right. Yeah. You're not Yeshu Klal. And let's read his full description though, just to make sure that that's what he's saying. Klamar in Sarach Lamar Shlo Achaz Darchehem, Shlo Nimshach Acharehem. Needless to say, he's not clinging to their ways and he's not drawn after them. Ella lo nasa nafsho lahoshiv atman binehem klal. He hasn't allowed his soul to sit himself with them at all. Afilu derech arai, even by way of chance, or by like incidentally. That was what I was saying, in the example, the personal example I gave of like completely avoiding a certain group, knowing that would have a bad effect. I think that was this year. Yeah, when I think I turned off the recording. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna make one point though about this. Oh, I was also gonna say, just to put on my IFS hat, it is interesting that there is going to be part of you that is chasing after money, you know, and it is an interesting thing to, like you said, like to harness that and to make it realize that like there's obviously lots of different emotions that go into the money making, but let's take like one that's easy to, an example that's easy to understand, which is like, I need this for the good of my family, you know, and like if I don't have this, then they're not going to survive, you know. But the thing is that that could just be an infinite endeavor. Like once you stop with your family, well, I want to like I'm gonna have grandkids. I'm gonna have great, you know, that could just be an infinite thing. So there's gonna be a process of like working with that part of you um, to like acknowledge that it is doing something that is good, but to bring it really under the influence of your you know mind that can actually assess what money you need to make in order to like serve this. And then once you do that, then like you're outletting that part of you. But the interesting, and same thing with the taiva, you know, but you're not doing that with the leitzim, which is an interesting thing. Yeah.
Is the IFS hat apart?
What was that?
Is the IFS hat apart?
Yeah, it's fully blended. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, can we just go over one of what the Moshe of Lathan is?
What he said, he had a kind of a rich description in, was it in the previous thing?
I mean, I'm totally good. Like, I'm not asking for like.
No. I just want to make sure I have the right understanding here.
Okay, yeah.
No,
Is that on,
no, maybe it's on this page, the same page.
oh,
Yeah, Haim Anashim Pnuyim, free men, meaning free of responsibility, really. Like that, you know, they don't have responsibility. Mitzad Chisusam V'Shola Lasam Mikol Chachma Umidias Malacha Omam, which he's Askubo. They don't have any Chachma, knowledge of a trade or money to be involved in. Uma Avirim Itosam Behevel Ubishivas Kronos. They just waste their time. They sit on corners. Bedaber B'inyane Ha'olam, speaking about like physical, you know, worldly things with Prate Ben Adam and people's details. Zebukov, like gossiping. Kamamar Chacham, Shamar Bakulim Hanavalim. Yotziu Bedaber Al Hanichbadim Alasam. They're just talking about people. Yeah. The Moshav Leitzim is they do congregate in Moshav. They need to function. So that's another interesting thing. They need to function together. You can't be a one-man Leitz.
Right.
Of this kind.
Right.
Yeah. The mocking people you can be, but like if you're that kind of Leitz, you know. Yeah, you can be a one-man Leitz. That's true. And I think the one-man Leitz actually does fit more into this category, in the sense, well, not the interpretation we did, but like you know, just like singing around like, you know, escapism type thing, you know, through substance use. Oh, okay, yeah.
How do you deal with how do you deal with the leads?
That's what I'm not sure about. That was what I was raising as a question. Yeah.
Good observation. If you love it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, let's put it this way: there will be a late part of you that you can deal with. Just it doesn't involve any indulgence in that actual activity. Whereas the Russia does entail involvement in money, and the Chote does entail involvement in pleasure. You know, like let's say for example, like this is a dumb example in the sense it's not dumb. It's just like I understand you can't just like turn the switch on, but like you know there is let's say they have a desire to talk about people. You know, there is a phenomenon in the Rambam's category, praiseworthy speech, of talking about the actions of Chachamim and Tzaddikim, you know, and like it when you know it satisfies like just as an example, like let's say like last night in the Bruce Lee thing, you know, like I get enjoyment talking about like the Chachamim in my life, you know, and it does satisfy a certain thing of like talking about Chacham, you know, about people, right. But it's for the good, you know, and same thing also, even the escapism, you know, I think is something you can do with Torah. Obviously, you have to do it in a healthy way, but like there's that speak about Chachamim, but there's that Rav Chaim, you know, they say that when in the Halakha Man, I think that when he was facing his death, then he like learned like the sugiyas in like Tahara, or like when the Rav had the triple Avelus, the year of the triple Avelus, then he said like he was learning with his grandsons that kept him sane. There is a certain type of like losing yourself in Torah, that can be done in a healthy way. Even like the day-to-day average thing where like you have like this drudgery at work, unless you got this job where you just have fun all day, and you come home and like you involve yourself in what your real life is about, which is learning. There is a certain escapism, and I'm saying that the late team indulge in that escapism through wine or through just like sitting on corners doing nothing, or like like whatever they did back then. Like I think also maybe I'm just thinking about they don't build up the world. I think the way that gamblers were back then. I'm not talking about like professional poker players now. I'm talking about like gamblers. I think that was another type of activity that they did. It's just like idle amusement that just doesn't contribute to anything. Yeah. TV, I'm sure, is an example of that now. Like just watching TV, like not because but I guess there's a social element that's not really indulging. But yeah.
Watching TV together.
Yes. Yeah. Good thing Hashem got rid of movie theaters. Okay. All right. Are we ready for the next pasuk? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know we didn't fully answer that, but I'm just sketching an approach. I think that's like an approach, like there are aspects of it you could satisfy, just not through that activity. Yeah. Okay. So the next pasuk was Ki'im, it's the same sentence. Ki'im b'Torah Hashem chavtov v'sorah yega yom v'layla. But only in the Torah of Hashem is his desire, and in his Torah he thinks day and night. Okay. So Meiri, Ki'im b'Torah Hashem chavtov, lilmod osa ulihis atek b'mitzvot saha. Okay. So funny, now he is talking about Torah. Because you remember how the Meiri said that what the perek was about? It's chochmah, right? So he is talking about Torah, and the proof is that he's asik the mitzvot. Right? We're talking the mitzvahs of the Torah, So we are talking about his desire to learn it and to keep it. Uvasorato yehege yom v'layla. Ratzalomar sheyishkod al limuda tamid. He is perpetually involved in its limud. So the hefzo is to learn and do, but then yehege is obviously only to think in. Because yehege you can't say it means action. Yeah. V'darshu Rav Ozal. Okay, so we quote the drasha that I quoted last time, and he's going to make a weird argument. Okay, watch this. I don't think I mentioned this in Mishlei on Monday, did I? Did I quote this pasuk in Mishlei on Monday?
No.
Okay, good. B'tchila nikres Torah Hashem, u'levasov nikres al Shemo. In the beginning, it's called the Torah of Hashem, and then in the end, it's called by him, by his name. Uvasoraso, lowercase h. Okay, it's called his Torah. Yeah. So watch his argument for how. So I said last time that that's just a drasha, and Isaac said no, you can read it in a way where it makes sense because it's talking about the ish. Meiri doesn't use that reasoning, but he does side with you. Okay, listen to his reasoning. Okay, and tell me if this is not wacky. If the word in his Torah went back to refer to the God, right? Hashem. So if Torah so is referring to Hashem, lomar uvadato, it would have said in his religion. Okay, watch this. Kaminha kefel inyan b'miloshonos, according to the principle of you repeat the same idea in different words. Okay, right?
Okay.
Aval achar she'amar uvatoras Hashem v'chazar v'amar uvatoras so nira she'amar al atzmo. But once it said Torah Hashem and then it used the same lashon, it's clear that it's talking about the guy himself. Okay, so let me express it the way Ken said that he didn't like it, which is if he wanted to say the same thing, he would have used a different word. But the fact that he used the exact same word meant he was trying to say different things.
Right.
And only Ken can express it that way, But like that's the problem, And I think the weird thing about it is we've encountered. So obviously Malbim just walked out, right? Because Malbim doesn't hold by Kefal Inyan B'Miloshonos, right? But I've only related to the principle of Kefal Inyan B'Miloshonos as like for style or poetry, like. Yeah, it's a purely literary thing, just because it gets boring or it's stylistically like weird if you use it the same way. Here, it's like he's saying, he should have adhered to the principle of Kevel in B'milo Shonos for the sake of clarity.
Right.
And then by using the same word, he's telling you that he really meant it in a different way.
Right. Or you can just say that the other way, that David is trying to, negate the Malbim Pavlina
Yeah.
by using the same word. Like, he doesn't want you to, start making Yugin like
Right. Yes.
Torah, so like
Right. Is that what he's saying?
No,
Because
no,
because that's a good argument.
yeah, I'm saying that's the reverse.
Yeah. Oh, that's a better argument. Yeah. What is it?
What's the
Oh, the reverse argument is trying to say that David is trying to just literally the opposite, is trying to negate the Malbim type Pavlina, that if he had said Torah so Vidato, then someone would come along and be like, oh, well, Torah means this, Das is that, and it's really two different things.
Right.
David stopped trying to disprove
Yeah.
that idea.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, the way I'd say it is, imagine if you're like, it's supposed to be like, part of the design of Tehilim is that it's also a poet.
Right.
And
That's
so,
a good premise.
Yeah. So if you're saying it in a way that's like is like worse for the poetry, then there's a specific reason why you're doing that, as opposed to like,
right.
like if also you're writing an essay and
Right.
you use the same word several times,
Right.
either you're writing poorly,
Right. Or it's a rhetorical device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the fact that because we know the principle of capable and Meiri shows, the fact that it's using the same word means that there's some other reason why you're doing it.
Yeah. So this, now I feel much more comfortable with it. It still is a bizarre, it's still a bizarre thing. I feel like this is not an operational rule. I feel like if Chazal didn't give that interpretation, then no one would read it this way. Like, and I feel like Chazal gave it as a drasha. I don't buy that Chazal were actually like reading the pasuk this way. So, but yeah. And then let's just finish reading this thing. Oh no, we finished reading it. Yeah. V'im kain yi פירוש, no, okay. Im b'Torah Hashem chavtzo, but only in the Torah of Hashem is his desire. Lilmod otza ve'achar sheyada'a shenikras Torah so yehege ba yom v'layla. So he wants to learn Hashem's Torah, and then after he knows it, such that it is called his Torah, then he thinks about it day and night. So let's first of all try to understand the Chazal, because he's actually taking the Chazal as the פירוש of the pasuk. So what's this idea of the Torah being called by his name after he's learned it? And it's called by Hashem's name first, and then he's learning it by his name. All right.
I mean, one way to think of it is that, like, when you understand something,
Yeah.
you're sort of like I guess you're creating a model of the phenomenon.
Yeah.
And so what that means is that you're basically like taking it into your own psyche and translating it into your own language.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Right.
So that's what it means to really understand something.
Yeah.
When it's when it's in your own words.
Right. When it's been internalized and you're processing through your own way.
Yeah.
I opened the Bruce Lee quote document just to, because I thought, I thought that was the direction you were going. I just went. There's too much here. I'm not gonna look through it right now. So that's what it means when you make it yours, where you are. Hold on. There's another quote, not from Bruce Lee. This is the Richard Mitchell quote from the end of his intro, that there's a difference between knowing about something and knowing it, and like when you're knowing about it, it's still outside of yourself, but knowing it means you see the world through those terms or through that concept, or like it's become something that is actually Rabbi Yaakov Trachman once made an offhand remark, like he does, that's just dropping chochmah bombs here and there, that he said that in nature, chochmah Hashem is that which moves matter. Okay, and therefore, in the human, if the chochmah is not moving you, then you don't have it.
Nice poetry.
Yeah, well, so but I agree with him that, I mean, I agree with him from Mishlei, but like that if the chochmah is not real to you to the point where it's affecting your emotions and your decision making and the way you think,
Right.
then you don't actually have the chochmah. You know, you can verbalize it maybe, and like you maybe grasp like the formula. You have it like as dry formulaic knowledge, but it's not. You haven't internalized it, and like making it yours. I thought that's what you were saying in terms of the seeing the world or saying it in your terms.
Yeah.
Or,
It's slightly different, I
yeah.
guess, but it's the same idea of like internalizing it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I guess I was saying it more in terms of just like the quality of the perception.
So that's like the litmus test of if you can say it over in your own words, then you understand it.
Yeah.
And I'm going one step further and saying that it's not just that you say it in your own words, it's that you see the world through it and you live it and you
Right.
you know it's become your values or your it remove your veils, whatever. I mean, whatever you want to say it is, yeah.
So is that, so what I was saying, that's still knowing about it?
Well, it's I guess it's going to come down to what do Chazal mean when they say it's Nikras al Shemo and what makes it Torah so, you know?
Oh,
And for
yeah.
that, we might actually have to look at how the Meiri is applying this to the pshat of the pasuk, because
Like, yeah, I think I was asking like Richard Mitchell, like.
for Richard Mitchell,
Robert would-
yeah, I think that would still be knowing about it, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So now,
Yeah.
the question is, what did the Meiri mean when he said that the pshat is he first? Wait, go here. Oh yeah. Im b'torah Hashem chafso lil modosa. So he desires to learn it. V'achar sheyeda shenikras Torah so yehege ba yomam v'layla. So the first question is, how can you know the Torah? I mean, I know it's like like it's kind of like the same question on the Haggadah, like filu yodim, filu chachamim, filu yodim kol Torah kula, but like he is saying that there's two phases here. There's a phase where you want to learn it, then you know it, and then it becomes Torah. So and then you're yehege ba. I mean, I don't know what that means. Like, aren't you yehege ba like while you're learning it? Yeah.
Mm.
It's not their cup of coffee, is it?
No, it's decaf tea.
Right.
That would be too daring of an experiment.
Yes.
One thing I think is like interesting about this, maybe I'm just adding to the question, is that
Sure.
It seems like, I guess the way that I would have thought about a person learning would be that it's just like a continuous progress. And it kind of sounds like the Meiri saying there's like a line.
Right. That's a good point. Right. Oh, so maybe then, can we say this? Maybe the yada'a is knowing about it. And then once you know about it, like you have to understand the concept that you're learning, and then yehege ba yomam v'layla is the process of like thinking into it and internalizing it and making it part of your worldview, which is constant. And that's the yehege yomam v'layla, meaning you're not learning. First of all, I guess I'm making an assumption here, by the way. I'm making an assumption that he's not talking about the entirety of Torah in one shot. Like, it's not like you are a guy who doesn't know the Torah and now you know it and now you're yehege in it. I think it means in any particular like area of Torah, like this is how the procedure goes, So you like learning Tehilim. So there's like understanding what the ideas are. That's the yada'a. And then then there's the process of making it yours by being yehege ba yomam v'layla and like reviewing it and talking about it and implementing it and stuff like that. Even if that's not what the Meiri is saying, I think it's a good shot for that. Maybe we should read this next sentence though. I didn't think that was part of it, but maybe it is. Va'inyan, and the idea, yehi porish midarche ha'olam v'yatim kol kavanosav lasok b'Torah. That's connecting the two halves, the two come together, 1 and 2. That he separates from the ways of the world, those three guys, and he makes all of his intent to be involved in Torah. Bichlaleha uprataha u'b'sodasav v'sisraha. In its generalities, details, secrets, and super secrets. Yeah. I don't know what the Sod and Seser is. Yeah.
Secrets that conceal things.
Yeah, that's more accurate. Yeah.
Not anything.
No. Yeah. So are we good with that Torah so thing, or are we thinking about it more? I mean,
Can you say again, what was the knowing about it? What does that entail?
So knowing about it involves understanding, like grasping the ideas. Like your mind has to grasp the ideas and be able to articulate it and like and answer the questions and explain the pasuk, all that stuff, know the halacha, know how it's, derived. And then once you've done that and it's in your head, then you could be yehege ba'al yomam v'layla to make it yours, to make it your Torah, by
incorporate it in your life.
Incorporating it into your life and seeing the world through its lenses by constantly reviewing it and by applying it to particular situations and by working on yourself to undo the things that are inhibiting you, preventing you from making it actionable. That stuff.
Well, how would that apply to halacha, learning?
Becoming halachic man. That's the short answer.
Right.
The long answer is be halachic man. But I think it's two things. It's being halachic man, and then whatever you hold is the relationship between the structures of halacha and the Talmud mitzvos.
Yeah.
That's where it would be. If you're a Hirsch,
right,
which is another shiur I'm not giving yet. Every detail of the halacha will have symbolic or Tom significance. If you are the Rambam, then all it would do, not to minimize this, is it would make the institution of halacha more of a reality to you, and that would anchor you more in the Tam HaMitzvah, which you knew about beforehand. Let's say the idea of Ma'aser Bereishis, and then you spend 10 years learning Hilchos Shabbos, and you don't change your idea of Ma'aser Bereishis. So what it's going to do experientially is, because when you're doing halachos on Shabbos and not doing malachos, then you're interfacing with a reality of ideas, which then bring to mind the Tam HaMitzvah and all the ideas associated with that. Whereas if you didn't have that, it becomes this disconnected thing where I know this philosophical idea about Shabbos, and then I'm going about my day on Shabbos, and there's not as much of a connection there.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean by halachic man, I think.
Okay.
I think that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think when you study the halachos, then you see more the connection between this particular action that I'm doing, not in terms of symbolic meaning or whatever, but just how this particular action relates to the system of Shabbos.
Yeah.
Relates to the Tom.
Yeah, the system becomes more real to you, and then the Tom is on your mind, and you're immersed in it, not because it's reflected in the particulars, but because you're in the reality of Shabbos.
Right.
And and that connects you to the reality of this. I'm trying to give an analogy in a non-halachic area. But I can't.
Maybe it's Mishlei,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, Mishlei thinking permeates your mind. Yeah.
you could study a particular pasuk and you can
Right.
understand.
Yeah, I kind of want to find one.
Non-Torah.
That's not in Torah. Yeah, in a craft.
Well, I guess IFS. You could read the book and understand a lot of the concepts. You don't understand methods of going about doing therapy.
Yeah.
But then when you actually do it,
well, I'm trying to find an example of something that's like halacha, where the details are yeah.
I think computer science is a lot like this.
That's not what Ron says. Taking one thing we can't understand and then giving another muscle that we also can't understand. But go ahead.
Yeah.
If it helps you.
I say there's principles of good software design and ways of thinking about it. But then there's how you actually write code, which is not the same thing. A person can a lot of, and I've spoken to people who said that they've graduated from college with a computer science degree,
Yeah.
and they understand a lot of computer science concepts, but when they want to do a project write code to do something, they
Yeah.
don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because the ideas are were detached from
Yeah, that does sound like a good example.
Yeah.
Even though I can't relate to it emotionally, but yeah, that sounds like a good example. Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next pasuk now. So the pasuk said, let's get the pasuk. So this guy will, the haya, eats shatu al palge mayim. He will be like a tree planted alongside streams of water. Asher piryo yitin beito, that give forth its fruit in a time. Alehu lo yibol, and its leaf will not wither. And everything he does, he will succeed in. Okay. Meiri says, "K'eit chakal pagimayim, rotlom samach lepagimayim." So it means next to the streams of water. K'derech ve'alav mate minashe. Okay, v'dimayon. Next page. Who shekamosha eitan letuv samach lemayim, just like a tree that's planted near water, shelo yifsak lechuso, that its moistness does not cease. Kain who? So to this guy, lo tishtakeach torato, his Torah will not be forgotten. We read in Meiri about forgetting Torah earlier this week.
I forgot
Seriously?
it.
V'chein, what?
I remember it vaguely.
Yeah. That was the thing about forgetting Torah in 10 years. Learning to it, yeah, and I'll leave you one day, yeah.
In 2 days.
Yeah. V'chein kamosha ha'etz hanizkar pirio yitin beito. So too in sorry, in the pasuk, sorry. V'chein kamosha ha'etz hanizkar pirio yitin beito. Just like the tree that was mentioned will give its fruit in its time. Lo yisacher l'sipas yovesh, it will not be delayed because of dryness. Kain who? So to he, yitin l'bnei adam pirio beito. He will give people his fruit in its time. He will pour forth his chochmah to other people after he's perfected himself. That's the end stage of chochmah.
It overflows.
It overflows, just like good friend. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the fruit. So let's go here. So Pagimim, he never said what it was, but I assume it's Torah. Right? He's planning to tell next to Torah so he doesn't forget it.
Yeah. What does shuffle mean planted?
Say again?
What does shuffle mean planted?
Yeah, I thought it was planted. And giving its fruit in its time is teaching. And in its time means that he'll reach the culmination of his learning to the point where he'll bestow it to others. Okay. The first step of chochmah is silence.
Wait. But we were. Oh yeah, okay.
That's
That's the next thing.
Yes, yeah, I know. Yeah, I also thought that we learned this.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't say that phrase though. He just talked about shtika.
Right.
He said stiag l'chochmah shtika, I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he says tchila l'chochmah shtika.
It's,
This is the first time I've seen that.
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the way he says there is something different than devil.
Yeah.
Okay. Rotzelomer sheyishtok v'yasin. He should be silent and listen. Okay, so that's the first stage. Vashenis, that's a Bruce Lee thing. Do I have it? Hold on. I can find it. Internet will find it for me. Bruce Lee teacup. No, I don't want Bruce Lee teacups.
Teacup quote.
Yeah, teacup quote. Yeah. Oh, see, it's just going to quote the one story. It has to be the story because the teacup one is the one that here we go. That I quoted yesterday. That's the more famous one. Okay, so a learned man once went to visit a Zen teacher to inquire about Zen. As the Zen teacher talked, the learned man frequently interrupted to express his own opinion about this or that. Finally, the Zen teacher stopped talking and began to serve tea to the learned man. He poured the cup full and then kept pouring until the cup overflowed. Stop, said the learned man. The cup is full. No more can be poured in. Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions, replied the Zen teacher. If you do not first empty your cup, how can you taste of my cup? You know, so that's the shtika thing that is talking about here is you can't, if you're in the presence of a chacham, then, and you're just like, you can't hear him over your own ideas. You know, you have to have shtika to be receptive to what he's saying. Now that I don't think means literally you don't talk at all, because that means you're not asking questions, and then that's bad, you know. But it means that you can't be like voicing your own ideas onto that. Time to stop and tell another anecdote. All right. So that's the first step. Second step, Vashin, is Havana. Second step is understanding. Okay, you didn't bite.
Because there's a different like conjugation.
Yeah. She is bonin. She is bonin bam asmo. He should understand it from himself. Vashlishi hiduda, sharpening. Varavi'is yuma, fulfilling. These are lists of how to get chochmah, I guess, right? Yeah, we should figure this out. Sharpening. Then fourth one is fulfilling. Or I don't know if chima means fulfilling or preserving. Limuda. What? Learning comes later? Vazehu hashpah. Oh, teaching. Okay, teaching to others. That was the whole point he started with. Yeah. Shivar lahem svekosehem ve'es hatzarech lahem. He should clarify for them their doubts at a time when they need it. Lo yitzarech levakesh mitoch. Levakesh mitun ulihisbonim b'davra. So that he.
But they won't need
Was he, right? Yitzarech, not yitzarchu. Right?
Mhm.
So that he won't need to seek waiting and understanding the matter. I think he means like in the process of teaching them, he's resolving his own doubt and then making it better, making it more efficient to teach people in a clear way, like constant refinement.
Hmm.
Can we try to understand a little bit of this?
Yes, I'd like to.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
Well, first.
Be quiet.
Clever. We gotta be quiet.
Looks like I was looking at you through a glass, like
Yeah.
like you muted yourself.
Yeah, on Zoom. Yeah. Second is understanding by yourself. Third one is sharpening. These are so vague. Is this from Mivkar Paninim also? Yes. Such as Mivkar Paninim. That's the collection of Arabic and Hebrew proverbs that are like ethical proverbs.
Huh.
And
Torah, ethical proverbs, or like
some Torah, some ethical, some,
no. The question is it from?
It's from chochmah Torah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who the author was? The Baal Mivkar Paninim. I think that's what it is. I don't forget who the author is, but I think that's what they call him.
This is his birth name.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the guy that wrote a book.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah. Yeah, the Mishnah Brewer, that was his actual name, so he just had to write it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what these things mean.
I feel like the one that I have really no idea about is Kiyuma.
Yeah.
Like if you already, understood it and sharpened it, whatever exactly that means, then what else do you have to
I do
do?
think the Kiyuma must mean preservation. It must mean like making sure you don't forget it.
Afidura was
Fiduda,
Fiduda.
sharpening.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
For the second one is, I think this is. It doesn't sound like he's talking about generating tivuna. It sounds like this is about the process of like receiving chochmah.
Yeah, like comprehending.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna make an executive decision. Let's finish reading the commentary on the whole pasuk, just so we get the pasuk, and then we can always like think about these. Like it's 5 steps. We can remember that if we review it. Ve'alehu lo yibol. So his leaf will not wither. Yish mefarshim. Some will explain kamo lo yipol. So it means it won't fall. The leaves won't fall. Klomar sheets kaim afilu ale merov lechusa. That even the leaf will be preserved because of the abundant moisture that it's getting from the water. That's lila partial meaning bilui berekev. So I'm learning it to mean wearing out and rotting. Lo yibol. It won't rot. Milachan bala bisari ve'ori. Klomar alpha p. Even though moisture is sometimes the cause of rotting and wearing out, it won't be like that here. Because the water is close to it in a way that will benefit it. And it will not harm it. Meaning like everyone's had aravos that get all moldy, right, with the water, So water can cause it to rot, but not when it's being sustained by the water. If it's a live plant, then there's moisture on it. It's not going to make the live plant rot. If he's constant in Torah, gufo, hamadumim ale. Oh, ushar inyanav hatrichim lo mikalkalim b'kach. Wow. Okay. Now he just goes to Marshall. His bodily needs, which are compared to the leaf, and his other affairs that he needs will not be harmed by it. So in other words, don't think that the Torah that you're doing is going to harm your physical body or needs. It's going to enhance it. is going to be like sustaining it. And that makes a lot of sense, I think, because since you're in the framework of Torah and Torah is guiding you in how to relate to these things properly, then you're not going to be harmed by these things, and they're not going to go bad. It doesn't mean it's going to be immune to like external harm. Like, I mean, you could learn hashgacha or something like that, but I think the plain shot is you're not going to be harmed like in your perfection by it.
And just clarifying,
Yeah.
the reason it doesn't harm you is not like it's because the Torah is affecting you, and
That's what I'm saying because of the mashal of the leaf. That because the leaf that is on a living tree that's being sustained by water doesn't rot. Only the tree that's disconnected from the water rots when it has water in it. Yeah. It is a cool mashal though, of like the water can rot the leaf, or it can.
What do you think if you keep the plant alive?
If you keep the plants alive through water, then the water outside
is going to do good for it.
is going to do good for it.
But
yeah.
if the plant dies, meaning what is that? If you stop
learning, then the water will. Well, I guess that's not knowledge. Then then what's the water that's harming it?
You're
Oh well, so then it's the normal cause of it. Oh, but then he's saying it's rotting though. He's not saying it's drying.
I think it's the like if it's like dead and then you like immerse it in water, then it's gonna come.
But what's the nimshal though? Yeah.
Yeah. So if let's say you let your relationship to chochmah die, and then you try to like fully immerse yourself in it.
I realized I introduced the thing of death because I was looking for an example of when it does rot the leaf.
Oh.
But he didn't say that. So there's no death in his
Oh,
mind.
fine. So I'm gonna say something that made it a little worse.
Yeah.
But then I think sometimes when you get like give a plant water, sometimes you'll overwater it and then it'll die.
Yeah.
But saying the point it's making here is that it's immersed in water in a way that's good for it.
Yeah. Okay. That I think fits in very well.
So,
what's the what?
What is the water?
The water Torah.
yeah.
And if you have too much Torah, then you'll.
Well, it's saying sometimes like there's avamina with the plant
Yeah.
that depends on the plant. Like whether this is a true analogy or not. But this is saying it is an analogy like this, where some plants, if you immerse them in water, then they'll just die because they get too much water.
Mm-hmm.
And like it kind of causes like leaves to wither.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You're saying that
It's saying like you might think that that's going to happen, but saying no, you're not going to wither.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Can I ask a methodological question about that?
Yeah.
Could you say like, or do you need to explain this thing in terms of the nimshal, or could you say he's just clarifying the mashal?
So I think you don't need to say. I mean, you're asking learning the pasuk, not learning the Meiri.
Oh, I was asking like in terms of the Meiri, the fact that he's saying well, I guess he's saying because the water, right? This like water could cause rot, but we're talking about water that's beneficial. Like to me, that read as he's telling you what the pasuk means. Yeah.
As opposed to what?
As opposed to adding to the mashal in a way that has its own part of the nimshal.
Yeah. So why did we?
Wasn't he explain? He's like expanding the mashal.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is addressing this havamina, right? Because the pasuk is giving you a havamina and saying the leaf will not rot. So why would you think it would rot? Because and especially given the nimshal of the water's Torah, and that's where what Isaac's saying comes in, that does happen in trees, but it won't happen here because of the nature of Torah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's just finish reading up until the next Dibra Mafil and then stop for tonight. Aval ochiz bazeh v'gam yizeh al yanichenu. So because he's clinging to this and also not letting go of this, meaning he's clinging to the Torah and he's also making his livelihood. Yeah, what? It is, yeah.
Just learned that in my class.
Oh, really? Yeah. Nice. That was in the perek I quoted when was it this morning when I said the youth is futile.
Oh yeah.
The same pasuk, yeah.
Nice.
Or same perek of all chapter 11. Because sometimes he'll reach forth his hand and take it according to what he needs. All derech shabiarno, according to the way we explained by the pasuk aleph. Yeah. Okay. So we will have to stop here for now, and because I need my 5-minute break, and pick up Bli Neder on Tuesday. Okay. I am going to just stop the recording and then turn off the video for a little while.